Today I'm going to be reviewing the Rictor S9 range scooter for you guys. This scooter is jam-packed with a lot of features. First things first, as you can see, it has dual front shocks and it also has dual rear shocks. Riding this from home to here for the first time, the shocks work really well. The suspension is something that actually works. It does what it says it's supposed to do, which is soothe out the bumps. Besides that, it's got 10-inch pneumatic air-filled tires in the front and in the rear. And as you can see, it is rear hub drive. So the motor is in the rear of the unit as opposed to some of the other electric scooters that I reviewed, which is usually in the front. Rictor says that if you open up this little thing here, there's a little keyhole. You put the key inside and then this will lift up and then you can remove the battery. Quite honestly, I don't see any reason to remove this battery, and I think it's a little gimmicky if you ask me. If you go to their website as well as on Amazon, they don't even sell removable batteries. So I'm not exactly sure why that's removable and why that's a feature to begin with. I guess one of the pluses is that you can remove the battery, leave this inside the garage, and then take the battery inside your house if you want to charge it. So that's a plus right there. This scooter will go all the way up to 24 miles an hour, and the range is up to 40 miles. Now, of course, this has 3 different speeds. I believe it'll do somewhere around 10 miles an hour. 15 to 16 miles an hour, and then it'll go all the way up to 24 miles an hour. All those speeds have been tested and verified. Front and rear disc brakes, that's pretty standard on a scooter of this caliber by now. We all know that. We've all seen it before. And last but not least, this is IPX5 waterproof. So when it rains, you have really nothing to worry about. But here's my favorite feature of all. This thing comes with an app that's actually useful. Let me go ahead and turn it on for you guys so you can see it. This is the app. It tells you what your range is. You have 24 miles range, 96% battery life left, and it also tells you how long you've been riding. You can change the riding modes. There's several of them here. You can go anywhere from economy all the way to something they call push. And then I think my favorite part out of this entire app is the fact that you can go to device info, and then from device info, you can check the firmware. And the firmware on this is able to be updated. When I got the scooter for the first time, I updated the firmware and it downloaded it directly into the scooter. Usually scooters like this don't really have apps that have firmware updates unless you're talking about a premium brand such as Segway, but I was surprised to see that on this. Anyway, I think you guys are now interested in seeing me ride this thing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take off. And of course, as you can see here, I don't even need to mention this, but this does come with a little bell. It also comes with turn signals left and right. Pretty neat, actually. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to start in eco mode, and I'll tell you guys how fast this thing does on eco. And as you can see, I'm riding on grass, and while I'm talking to you guys, my voice isn't stuttering. And it seems to be really, really smooth. And I like that about the scooter because, as I mentioned before, it's got front and rear suspension. The suspension on this thing is actually something you can feel because as you jump up and down on it, you can feel the springs going up and down. And it's really, really comfortable. I'm not exactly sure where we can take this thing, so this way I can give you an example of a really, really bumpy ride. Because as you can see here, this park was recently built, I think within the last 6 to 8 months. So all these paved roads here are pretty brand new. But anyway, we're doing about 6 miles an hour in eco mode at the moment. Let's go ahead and bump this up to the drive mode. Drive mode will go all the way up to 9-10 miles an hour. Right now we're doing 9 miles an hour. If you hold this down for about 5 seconds, it goes into cruise control mode. As you can see here, makes a little beeping sound, goes into cruise control mode. I really don't like that feature, to be honest with you. I really, really like the feature where you push the button and it goes into cruise control mode for you. But sometimes you don't know if you're in cruise control, and sometimes when you're riding so fast, the audible sound is really not all that loud. So I wish this had like a little button you can push. For the price that you're paying, they could have included that feature. Anyway, let's go into full-on sport mode. Full-on sport mode, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 miles an hour going up an incline, 20 miles an hour. I gotta watch out, there's people here, so we gotta pick and choose where we want to speed. 18 miles an hour, 19 miles an hour, 21 miles an hour, 22, 23, 23. There's an incline, a small incline. I would probably say 23 miles an hour, 20-degree incline. Now the road is getting flat. 24 miles an hour. There we go. We hit it. We hit the maximum speed of 24 miles an hour. Now this thing also has another feature. It's called push. Let's go back into the app and see what that feature is, because something else will light up on the dashboard. All right, so now I just clicked and I went to push. And now there seems to be like something else lit up on the dashboard. See that little button right here? This little thing right there? When you put it into push mode, that turns on right there. So hopefully this makes a difference while we ride. Let's give it a try and see what this is like. Actually, never mind. Push doesn't really do anything. Push is more like, I just discovered this for the first time. Push is more like when you're walking. This is walking mode. So I think that's what push is. Push is when you're just walking like this, and then, you know, it'll just go by itself, as you can see. Okay, all right, I thought this was just some form of Chinglish trying to tell us that push meant that this is going to go faster than sport mode, but apparently not. So let's go ahead and remove push mode and go back into sport mode. All right, I learned something. This is my first time riding the scooter, so as you can see, this is an authentic review for you guys. I'm not making any of this stuff up. But yeah, as far as acceleration is concerned, this thing is pretty quick off the line. This suspension is nice and beefy, very, very plush. I would probably say this is one of the pluses. As far as turning radius, I would say that the turning on this is a bit lazy, to be honest with you. The other thing I probably dislike about the scooter, besides the turning radius, is that the wheelbase is really, really short. The longer the wheelbase of a scooter, the better it's going to handle. And so, as you can see here, this scooter is pretty meaty. The deck is pretty wide, but unfortunately the length of the scooter is pretty short. So I wish it was a little bit longer than this. Probably about an additional 2 inches and it would be absolutely perfect. It will probably handle better as well. All right, here goes some bumpy surfaces. Let's go on this and see what happens. Holy mackerel, this is amazing. Wow. I mean, it's still bumpy, but no way, this is really, really good. Yeah, it handles the bumps like a champ, guys. Really, really well. The suspension does a really good job. Now I'm going to test out to see how this thing handles on some really, really nice turns. And I usually go around this thing right here and choose the corners as my apex. But let's go ahead and try this out. Yeah, here it is. Well, I can tell you right now, guys, the turning radius on this is not all that great. Like I mentioned before, it's got a lazy turn in and it's not giving me that much confidence to go around this as fast as I want. I mean, unless you're buying the scooter to enter some kind of a competition, it's nothing really to worry about. But if you're riding it in the park like I am, or using it for commuting purposes, it's really not a problem. I like the bell on this. It's really nice and loud. And I like the fact that it's got like one of those little rotary things. Really, really cool. Let's see, what are some of the selling points of the scooter? Why would you pay $800 for the scooter? Well, it does 24 miles an hour. That's one thing. It has front and rear indicator lights. Okay, that's another thing. Front and rear disc brakes. That's pretty standard on anything over 500. This could be folded down, so this way you can transport it. That's also pretty standard on anything over $200-300 these days. Front and rear suspension, that right there is worth the price of paying for the scooter. The suspension works absolutely incredible. And I think between doing 25 miles an hour between the long range and the front and rear suspension, I think that's a good reason to pay $700–800 for something like this. Anyway, guys, those are my final thoughts. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.